Although it may sound like a good time, getting stoned and going to a haunted house is never a good idea. No shit? What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I am Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. The haunted house on Kirby Road is also known as Lost Stories, apparently, when I looked it up on Google. And this was actually filmed in Toronto, but I believe it takes place in the United States because of some things that happen in it, being that people are buying booze in the grocery stores, and you can't really do that in Canada. But anyway, shot in Toronto, which I found pretty cool. And basically, it's as simple as a bunch of kids who love to smoke pot. I mean, this film is filled with pot references. It's not even funny. Even the main theme song is, so it has to do with drugs. I forget the lyric right now. I should have wrote it down. But bunch of kids get together and then they decide to go to this house on Kirby Road because it has a history of somebody basically committing suicide there. And there's this YouTube video online of this guy who these kids used to know, who went there and basically disappeared. So the legend is that he died there by some accident or something like that. Also, legend has it that if you see the hanging man in this house, basically you're done for. And if you look him in the eyes, the only way, basically his soul can enter you and possess you, and the only way to relieve the possession is to basically carve your eyes out. So these kids decide to get stoned and go to the haunted house, of course. So you got these two girls, Jordan and Becca, and they're basically best friends, and then they're going to go hang out with these guys. There's Truggers, who is the biggest jock I've ever seen. I mean, popped collar and sunglasses and everything. It's ridiculous. Drew, who has a huge crush on Jordan, but they're best friends, and I don't know, they're like both in the friend zone. She's kind of keeping him there, but he also doesn't mind being there. And Truggers, being like the jock and the douche that he is trying to like hook him up and steals his phone and starts texting Jordan, and then Becca steals Jordan's phone and starts doing the same. So they're basically sexting back and forth, pretending to be each other. And then afterwards, Drew, of course, is like, oh, by the way, that wasn't me texting. And Jordan's like, me neither. So clearly they enjoy their situation. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever met a girl in my entire life that I wouldn't like be interested in hooking up if you wanted to hook up with. And I've met some pretty ugly girls. Like, it's just one of those things. I understand being friends and everything, but I don't understand just having absolutely no interest in being with a girl who wants to be with me. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm desperate or anything. I'm just saying I don't see the reason not to, kind of thing. But Drew is a nice guy, and good for him. There's a lot of humor in this film. It takes a while for anything to happen, I must say. Like, it takes a good hour for any of the supernatural ghost stuff to happen. Before that, there's a hell of a lot of comedy. I mean, there's this whole corner store situation where the guys are buying condoms, and clearly they have no experience in buying condoms, let alone having sex, I think. Especially one of the guys named Lucky. And trust me, there's a lot of jokes made by his nickname, Lucky. He's buying condoms, and the friggin' guy, the clerk at the counter, he's so freaking weird. He's like, because he's buying some, like suckers kind of thing, and he's like, "Is the suckers the only thing?" And he's like, "Yeah," or "No." And then he puts some other stuff on the counter, and then he asks for condoms, and he's like, the guy's like, "What size would you like?" And Lucky's like, medium." And the clerk is like, "Yeah, they don't come in medium." And apparently, I've never heard of this in my entire life, and I doubt it exists, but apparently the clerk is like, by law, I'm supposed to actually give you a demonstration on how to apply a condom. So he brings out this massive dildo from underneath the counter and puts it on the counter, and then he starts demonstrating on this thing how to put on a counter with all the like details and everything. And I'm just like, that is so weird. I've never heard of that in my life, and I doubt it exists. There's also a scene where Lucky is watching porn with everybody in the room, by the way. He's not alone. And then he starts humping a light, and then he starts humping the couch while he's watching porn. Everybody's sitting there and they're like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And then they go to his laptop and they turn it around, and it's these two like possums, like rodents having sex with each other. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, but it made me laugh because it's like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? There's this cop situation where the cop pulls Truggers over and asks him to come out of the car and checks his ID and clearly sees that it's fake, but gives Truggers a chance to get the fuck out of there. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna save your life right now. You turn around, you go away, and forget it." And then Truggers is like, "Can I have my ID back?" And he's like, "What, this? Get the fuck out of here." It's such a funny cop. I laughed my ass off. But of course, Truggers gets back into the vehicle and he's like, "Oh, he was a nice cop. We just shot the shit. So, yeah, he just said everything is okay." And then they go into the house and do their own thing. Like I said, it takes a while for anything to happen, but it's mediocre. Like, there's not the greatest gore in the world. There's this girl named Zoe who's pretty hot, and there's this pretty sexy scene with her involving her and Lucky, of course, because he gets lucky, and she gets a good kill. She gets like this spike through the eye, and it's funny at the end with Jordan and Drew. Drew tells Jordan that he loves her, and then she kind of hesitates, and then she says, "I love you too," but then he gets possessed by this demon thing, and she has to defend herself, and she ends up in the situation where she gets a noose around his neck, and then it ties it to a chest, and is able to throw the chest out the window, so the rope brings him up and hangs him. So this happens in like literally probably like 4 minutes after they told each other that they love each other. And according to Jordan, Drew was her like best friend in the world, but I didn't see much remorse of her killing. Like, I understand that she had to kill him and everything, but she did it so casually and so nonchalant that I was just like, what the fuck, lady? She's so like, not, I don't want to say prude because prude is kind of mean, but you can tell this girl's like definitely saving herself, and she's like the good girl, like the extreme good girl, which is funny with her being best friends with Becca, because Becca is like the wild child kind of thing, and so is Zoe too. But Becca and Jordan are like the opposites of each other. And Becca is the first one to actually get possessed by this demon by looking at the demon in the eyes. And then, yeah, she's the one who starts creating havoc. Apparently the when Becca gets possessed, she also gets really horny because she jumps on Drew and starts trying to like make out with him and fuck him before killing him. And it's weird because one, she's possessed, so I figure she'd want to kill, not have sex. And two, she's possessed by the demon of this guy who hung himself. So if it's the soul of the guy, why is the guy horny for for Drew? Maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much into a film called The House on Kirby Road, possibly. It's definitely a B movie. It has its flaws. It's a little slow, but I mean, it could be worse. I've seen worse for sure, and it's definitely funny. Like, I think this film is way more funny than it is scary or thrilling, in my opinion. And it says inspired by true events. Like, for God's sakes, as if this is inspired by true events. Unless what they mean is kids have gotten high before and gone into haunted houses. Then it's inspired by true events, I guess. Like, thousands, probably. But, yeah, it's just, it still baffles me and makes me laugh when films say that, inspired by true events, when it's quite clearly not. But I love how Lucky also has an app that apparently measures the energy of like people or rooms. So when the app is in this house, it clearly goes to the negative every time something bad is going to happen. And it's all right when shit starts to happen. And Becca, she, like, when she's possessed and when she's doing her evil demon stuff, it's pretty cool. But like I said, I'm going to repeat myself. This film is better for the laughs. I think the corner store scene is like the best thing in this movie by far, and I really like the cop scene too. And I just love the humor with Lucky. Lucky's hilarious. I love the sexy scene between him and Zoe, and then Truggers, which is a weird name. I thought his name was Truckers. I was like, and there's no subtitles here, so I'm like, what? Truckers? But it's Truggers apparently, and like I said, popped collar, sunglasses, stereotypical. I mean, it's fucking great. But not much else to say. That's Haunted House on Kirby Road. I think it's also 2016. And it's alright. I think I'd give it a 1.5 out of 5, probably. So that's what I got on it. Subscribe to Marine Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned. Check out what's on the channel. And until next review, take care and cheers.